Hi, I'm Rob Durham, and today I'm going to talk about some of the tension between new comics and veteran comics.
He tours clubs and colleges all over. He's just published his third book. Give a nice big round of applause for Rob Durham.
To start off, we'll define a new comedian as someone that's been doing it for 2 years or less, I would say. Veteran comics doesn't start at 2 years, though. I think around 6 or 7 years is when you can finally call yourself a veteran. And a lot of that tension doesn't have to do with guys who have been doing it 7, 8, 9 years versus the rookies. It's the people that have been doing it 2 to 6 years that are just proud not to be new. So a lot of the crap that you're going to take is from the still fairly new comics because they just want to be better than someone. They want to have someone to look down upon. So you got to take that into account, that it's not actually the veteran comics, but the not so new comics. An important thing for new comics to remember is you do have to have very thick skin for this. You're going to get made fun of by people you know, people you don't know. It just comes with the territory. You have to have thick skin. It's a very unfair industry. It's never going to be fair. So you just have to deal with that and tolerate it. If you can't tolerate it, find something else to do. Best thing for a new comic to do is just be funny on stage and get noticed on stage, not off stage. Stay quiet off stage, mind your own business, be friendly and cordial with people, but get all your attention from being on stage, not off. And if I could start over, that's how I would have done it. Something else you should take into account is veteran comics maybe see some of the same mistakes. We know the ridiculous things that we did starting out, and when we see that in newer comics, all we can do is laugh at it and make fun of it. That's what we do in the industry. Again, don't take it personally. It's just we know what we messed up as rookies. So when we see the same people doing it, it's kind of fun for us to poke fun at it. I think it's important to explain the guy who runs open mic may be one of the first people you run into that isn't so friendly. You have to understand this guy deals with a lot of delusional people. People want to be on the list, and a lot of times that comic who runs the open mic doesn't even make the list. May not even be up to them. The manager may do it. But it's just such an annoying job to have to do that managers don't even want to do it anymore. So they do give it to another comic to handle that, and to all the new people that come in every week. And it's just, you get some weirdos at open mic that think they're going to be a star at a show with 20 people, and you can't blame them for being a little terse, because they have to deal with so much ridiculous, so many ridiculous requests every week. So cut them some slack on that, let them get to know you, but just stay out of their way, perform your best, and other than that, just stay out of the way, and they won't hate you. So if you are new, here are some ways to, not be made fun of. I think the biggest thing is don't put the cart before the horse. When veteran comics see new comics doing this, it's really one of the more hilarious things. So, for example, the self-promotion. You don't need a website in your first few years, even if you're getting shows. It's completely unnecessary. You don't need to sell merchandise yet either. It's not going to be good. Putting the cart before the horse puts a pretty big target on yourself. You really do want to limit your self-promotion, because you don't want really anyone seeing you in those first 2 years. It's not going to be pretty. I think people confuse it with the music industry, where you want to try and build a following. You don't want anyone to follow you in those first 2 years while you're honing your craft. It's just, it's a metamorphosis, and really they're going to see some terrible shows in your first 2 years. And if that's the permanent impression they get of you, good luck keeping them around. So really, you don't need to promote yourself. Just get the stage time those first couple years. You have to be careful online. New comics tend to promote themselves for a lot of things. There's those posters of shows, and there's like 19 different headshots on there, or they have their schedule listed, and it's all open mics or unpaid shows. You're not tricking anyone into thinking you have a big touring career because you're going to all these various open mics and showcases that your friends put you on, especially if they're all in the same city. It's fine to let people know where you're at, but again, it's not important to get a following at this point in your career. I think it's always I guess, cute when a comic does his or her first week on the road, and they post online like they've been on tour their whole life, and oh, this hotel, and oh, the drive, and it's like, yeah, that's the industry. You don't need to make a 5-star production because you actually have a gig 2 or 3 hours away. Congratulations, but you're not a star because you're emceeing in Fort Wayne. So no offense to Fort Wayne, but tone it down when you finally do get a week. Otherwise, you're going to get mocked for taking it way too seriously. I think another thing to avoid doing is calling yourself a comedian on stage or online. There are open mic comics, in their first year or two that, now that I'm a comedian, my friends all, it's like, no, you're really not. You have another job, hopefully. You're not earning your living doing this. So don't call yourself a comedian prematurely. It really annoys veteran comics, and it just, it's just as bad online when being a comedian is part of your identity, I guess, and when you're saying that you're part of that group of professional comedians, it can rub them the wrong way, and it just makes you look silly. Again, you don't want to sell merchandise. I dated a comic briefly way back in Ohio, and she had a whole line of t-shirts and coffee cups and everything, and never had a paid gig in her life, but set up this whole online store, and I don't think ever sold anything. This was before Facebook, but we would definitely mock that today. Take it easy on the merch. You don't need that yet. Then you're also going to have to deal with a lot of jealousy. If you're successful quicker than others, people are going to be jealous of you. If it's the other way around, you're going to be jealous of other people. Yes, the attractive girl is going to get more shows. It just happens. It's a male-dominated industry, so yeah, attractive girls are going to get some breaks sometimes. It all equals out, though. If you have a show that you run, that's a good bargaining tool. People are going to put you on their show if they can get on there. If you have nothing to offer another comic and you're not that funny, good luck getting stage time. You have to help people out, and that's how showbiz works. It's important not to get jealous of other people's success. If they get to open for a really big name, that's really not going to change their career. Yeah, they're going to get a lot of likes online and some cool stories, but unless that big headliner takes them on tour, it's really not going to change their career at all. So yeah, they have a fun night, but don't get too jealous of that. And yeah, also you can't get too excited about winning a contest as well. It's great, but those tend to almost start fights in the open mic communities. They're never fair, or at least most of the time they're not. So, I had a buddy, again, way back in Ohio that I think he won the open mic contest, quit his day job and thought, here we go, bought a car, and, didn't get any paid work after that. So it's really not a big deal. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I guess the thing to remember, if you hear veteran comics being very negative about it, it's a very negative industry. I'll talk about my book here in Don't Wear Shorts on Stage. One of the goals was actually to talk people out of going into comedy. So I've had a lot of feedback. People like, I was thinking about making this a career. I read your book, realized how challenging it is, and I think you saved me a lot of time. So again, it's a lot to deal with, and it takes years before it becomes actually a profitable job if you're lucky. So if you're new, just again, stay quiet, get noticed on stage, not off stage, and just take as much advice as you can. Again, check out my book, Don't Wear Shorts on Stage, available on Amazon. And I have a blog as well, don'twearshortsonstage.com. And for dates where I'll be, robdurhamcomedy.com. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next time.